Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Very good to see you.
Good to see you.
Matthew Parker Street, please.
In you get, and we'll be off.
Thank you very much.
Right, slide yourself over. Okay.
Very good.
Off we go.
Thank you very much. Free trip on the BBC.
One of your challenges is your background. You are, a very wealthy man, non-dom millionaire. So how do you represent people in a city where many people are frankly dirt poor?
Well, look, I've never hidden from my background, and I've never pretended to be anything other than what I am. I was dealt a good hand in life, and I think that's known pretty much.
But is that a disadvantage now in campaigning?
No, I've spent my entire life trying to play that hand as well as I possibly can, and that's involved campaigning at every level against what I see to be injustices. I've campaigned for the environment and for consumers, against corporate corruption, all my life before becoming an MP. And as an MP for the last 5-6 years, I have campaigned and battled for my constituents every single day that I've worked for them.
Just at a personal level, Zac, if you, a very wealthy man, are voting for benefit cuts for poor people, how do you square that?
I stood on a manifesto at both elections which involved reforming the welfare system to make it pay to work. But I want to challenge the premise of your question, because to be an effective councillor or to be an effective MP or to be an effective mayor, you've got to be someone who empathises with problems, who understands problems and who can fix problems.
Let me try some quick fire questions, if I may. Just yes/no things which may give us a sense of who you are. Do you believe in God?
I have a great reverence for the natural world. I think there is a magic in the world, but I'm not religious in a conventional sense.
Are you offended by page 3?
No, I'm not offended by page 3. It's not something I would promote, but it's not something I'd want to ban.
Would you like cyclists to be forced to wear helmets?
No, I don't. I think it's not something that I would push, no.
I mean, let's talk about one of the big issues for London, which is this is a city with massive levels of immigration. Do you think the current numbers of immigrants are too high?
I think there are two issues there. One is about control, and I do think we need to have control of our borders. I think any country needs to have control of their borders. But that's not so much for me a numbers issue. I think immigration is one of the key reasons why this city is the success that it is, and I wouldn't want to turn the tap off.
I mean, no one is disputing, this is a city built on immigration, relies on immigration,
right.
But why numbers matter surely is this. Because of the pressure numbers create on housing, on schools, on jobs, on services. So that's why I come back to this. Do you think the numbers coming into London at the moment are too high, or are you okay with the level?
I think the worst thing that could happen to London is that people don't want to come and work and live and invest and raise families here. And the job of the next mayor is to accommodate that. And we know that we've got a massive housing crisis. I know it's an overused term, but it is a housing crisis. That's the only term I can think of to describe it. And we need to close the gap between demand and supply. And that means building around 50,000 homes a year, and not just building those homes. When you build these new developments, you've got to build into them schools, primary schools, secondary schools, and other amenities that are necessary as well.
In one of your leaflets, you characterised Sadiq Khan as divisive and a radical. Now, bluntly, isn't that dog whistle politics?
No, not at all. I know that was the interpretation that his team tried to put on it. But the reality is that Sadiq Khan is an architect, a principal architect of one of the most radical things that's happened to British politics, in my lifetime certainly, but I'd go further than that. He nominated Jeremy Corbyn, which was a huge experiment with the Labour Party. He has said over and over again that he would do so again, despite the impact it's had on that party. And his personal approach to politics is divisive. Now, this is not a comment on Labour. There are plenty of Labour people I've worked with over the last 6 years, but as an individual, Sadiq Khan is not someone who has any record at all of being able to work with people outside of his own party.
What would be the impact on London if we left the European Union?
The truth is that business does not speak with one voice on this issue. For you have the CBI on the one hand, but then you have the British Chamber of Commerce on the other. For every Richard Branson, you've got a James Dyson. The small businesses tend to be much more Eurosceptic, overwhelmingly so. In fact, if you look at most of the small organisations, the small business organisations, CBI and the big business voices tend to be more keen to stay in Europe. But I have no doubt in my mind that the riskier option, because that's really what we're talking about, the riskier option is to stay in.
Well, let's just talk a bit about standing up to David Cameron. I mean, he clearly is on the other side in this referendum campaign. I mean, do you think he could survive if he lost?
Well, I hope so. I don't see why not. I think it's really important that this project has a democratic mandate one way or the other. And that's what David Cameron has given us. And for that, I'm very grateful. And I think the whole country should be very grateful. So he will go down in history as a great man, in my view.
We're driving through really heavy traffic.
Yeah, it's normally a lot heavier than this, actually.
Well, so...
You're a very good cabbie. You take us a good route.
What are you, a black cab man or an Uber man?
Well, I'm a huge fan of black cabs, and I think it is essential that we ensure the black cab has a bright future. You don't do that by banning Uber. I don't think you can ban Uber.
You don't want to ban Uber?
You don't want to ban
How do you level the playing field?
It should be a requirement that Uber drivers and private hire vehicle drivers should have a basic grasp of London's geography. They should have
have to do their own knowledge.
Not the knowledge, of course, but a basic understanding of London's geography. They should have a basic grasp of English language.
Because you can just use sat-nav. Why?
Because you need to be able to communicate, because the roads aren't always open, because there might be an accident ahead, there might be congestion. It's important that there's a level of agility. I'm not expecting the same level of agility that you find in a black cab, a basic understanding of English. And I think there is also a question mark about the numbers. There are just so many licenses being issued, and that is becoming, we don't have science or data to prove this, but we think it's becoming a congestion problem.
Let me ask you a few, I think we're almost there actually, let me ask you a few sort of London, see how much you have knowledge of London. Who plays at Loftus Road?
Oh, I don't know.
No?
What's the answer?
Queen's Park Rangers.
Queen's Park Rangers.
Well, let me give you another one.
Yes, go ahead.
Do you use the tube?
Yeah, well, often.
Okay, well, let's take the Central line.
Yeah.
What's next in this sequence? Bond Street, Oxford Circus, Tottenham Court Road.
But I'm going to stop you there, because most people have a route. I have two routes.
I want
to answer this point. Most people have a route or two routes, and they become like an extension of the body, and you use those routes not for ethical reasons, but because it is the only way to get around London without being late for meetings. But for routes outside of the norm, you have apps like City Mapper, which I rely very heavily on pretty much every day. And they ensure that you get where you need to get to on time.
Try this one. Who was the first landlord at the Queen Vic?
In EastEnders?
Yeah.
The first landlord?
Famous...
the first landlord? You were talking 40 years ago, 50 years ago?
Yeah, first landlord, big sort of iconic land.
Dirty Den.
Dirty Den.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. You see, I'm just...
Where is the Museum of London?
Museum of London is... Where is the Museum of London? Museum of London. I went there very, very recently. I can't tell you I can't tell you the road it's on.
It's by the Barbican.
Right, absolutely, in the city of London.
Yeah. Here we are now. I think
it's the next one. Oh no, it's not.
They're sending me down here.
That's okay.
Do you know better?
Well, I would have gone down there and left, but here we are. You can get him around this.
Hang on, let's.
I think the road is closed. Actually.
Oh crikey! Really?
I think so. You got the GPS. I'll let you do it.
I
would get lost.
This is when you need the knowledge.
This is when you need the knowledge.
I'm blindly following the sat nav. So, if you get the London Mayor position, have you thought at the end of your term? Is there anything which you would like to be your legacy? Is there one thing which you would like to be identified as having achieved?
I mean, in a very general sense, I want London to be affordable to Londoners, because if it's not, London will cease to be the important city that it is. And that's not just housing, it's across the board. It's about not losing those small spaces for creative people that give London the buzz and the dynamism that it is. We need, it means it means making sure that people can actually afford not just to live but to work and to contribute in London. But on a different level, I think that it is time now, and the time is right now for London to become the greenest city on earth.
You're quite critical of Sadiq Khan. Do you see, I mean, what would you say is his redeeming quality? Is there anything you like about him?
There is one thing which causes me to pause, because I have to tell you that in my time in politics, I have dealt with all types of politicians, and I do regard him to be fundamentally unprincipled, and there's so much evidence of that. But the one thing that causes me to question that is the fact that he supported gay marriage, which is surprising, and I know it was difficult for him, and I think that shows that there is something there beyond the naked opportunism. So I maybe have to revise my views slightly.
That's a fairly damning assessment to say he's unprincipled. I mean, that's quite a big claim to make, isn't it?
I can't think of another politician in this country who's engaged in more flip-flopping for political reasons than Sadiq Khan. So when I say he's unprincipled, that for me defines what being unprincipled in politics means. That's what it's about. It's someone who will say something, but who will say something completely different depending on who they're talking to and what their ambition in politics is at that particular time. That is the definition of being unprincipled in politics.
Well, here we are. I do believe we've made it.
And that was very good.
Not sure about the route, I have to say, but
that was all right.
I think we made it in the end.
It could have taken longer.
Here we go, here we go, here we go. Let me just pull up here. I'll let you out here.
Thank you very much indeed.
I'm only going to charge you $23.60 for that.
I didn't even notice that. That's illegal, surely.
Cheerio.
Real, thank you.